For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, we are live and amplified. So let's get ready to podcast.
Fire it up.
Welcome, everybody, to another live and amplified livecast. I'm your host, Tom Quiet, and we are back at it again with another amazing podcast. Today, we have very special guests. We have Pickin, Pear. How's it going today, y'all?
Hey, how's it going?
Thanks for having us, Tom.
Absolutely. Things are going good here. It's probably a little bit warmer here in Central Texas than it is in Kentucky, but it's been a brutal couple of weeks weather-wise. But nonetheless, I'm really excited to have you all here and chat a little bit, get to know more about you. As I was prepping for this, I swear I've seen you play at a music festival or something before. I'm trying to figure that out, and hopefully throughout this podcast, I will realize where I've seen you play.
That's awesome.
So
all right. Can you think of what state it may have been in?
It was either Florida.
Okay.
Possible.
Key West.
Key West.
Okay, that's what it is.
Yeah.
I might have been the Keys. Okay. Yeah.
All right.
I have to narrow it down a little bit, but yes.
I'll say this, on our website, I have a spreadsheet where I keep, and people can view it, the list of every show we've ever played together. So you can always reference where we were at any given time of the year.
Because when I saw it on my list of upcoming podcasts, I was like, Pickin, Pear. I've seen this name on a poster, a flyer, played at a festival, something. I just need to figure out where. And there's this bluegrass festival that we go to down in the Keys, Baygrass Bluegrass Festival.
Okay.
And I thought maybe that's where it was at, but no, like I have almost all their show flyers, and I'm like, nope, wasn't that, but
somewhere along the line.
Yep, somewhere along the lines I've seen you, and yeah, but I'm really excited to have you all on here. Let's kind of take this minute to let you introduce yourselves, who you are, kind of give a little bit of a background on yourselves as musicians. So
how about I do you and you do me?
Oh, no, I don't know. I don't know if that's going to work. I can barely do mine. No.
You go first.
No, my name is Tia. I am from the west suburbs of Chicago in a little town called Addison.
Woohoo, Addison.
Yeah.
I'm from South Chicago, so.
Oh, perfect. So you know the area.
Go Sox.
Yeah, go White Sox.
Oh, I don't have my hat. Dang it. Yes.
I should have worn it. Yeah.
Actually, there you go.
There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
So.
No, we're big sports fans, so we keep up. And I'm a big, all Chicago sports fan. He's all Cincinnati.
Yeah, I'm Leon, and I grew up here in northern Kentucky, where we're calling you from, and. Yeah, it's basically a suburb of Cincinnati. We live really close to the Cincinnati, or we don't live here right now. We're staying here right now.
Right.
But we're really close to like the stadiums and things.
Yeah.
So I'm a big Cincinnati sports fan as well. But this year, since we had to sell our souls for the Bengals to go to the Super Bowl, all of my other sports teams are tanking, including the Reds. So I'm rooting for the Sox this year.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the Sox, they finally won one. It wasn't looking good there for a minute.
It was a little scary.
Right?
Yeah. But keeping hope. It's early.
I keep telling you guys are supposed to be the good ones.
I know.
Well, I mean, it doesn't help when we can't stay healthy. So I'm going to just leave it right there.
I love
because
it.
That's
We'll do the sports podcast later.
Yeah, for sure. And so how did y'all start? What was kind of the creation of Pickin, Pear? What was the original idea? When did y'all start playing together?
Well, I moved to Colorado in 2009, and I want to say we started.
Yeah, I moved there in 2012.
12, okay, and then we started playing music probably around 2015.
14,
15, yeah.
14.
Good old Chillers.
Yeah, Chillers.
Yeah.
We had a little hole in the wall bar that let us come in and paid us twice a week to entertain the people that never left the bar. So it was it was a good
place to get your get started.
Cut our teeth
exactly.
On stage there together, and we started as musicians together, and it took a little while, and then we're like, well, I love this person, and then we became a thing together.
Yeah, but it was always the music.
The music came first. Yeah, and we played with a band out in Colorado together called Canyon Collected.
Okay. And
we would tour with those guys and have a blast, but we'd always have to come back home to Colorado and pay rent because it's crazy right there, and it just keeps getting crazier. And that like post-tour depression would set in a lot.
Yeah.
So we were like, we're done with the whole, like having to worry about rent all the time. Let's just get rid of all our stuff and move into a minivan. So that's what we did in 2017. And we toured
with our dog.
With our dog, yeah. And we toured around all over the country and did that for a couple years until we upgraded to an RV, which is like moving into a mansion once you've lived in a minivan for a couple years.
Yeah.
And then COVID happened, right? And we floated around in the RV for a while, but ultimately I ended up back here in Northern Kentucky just to finish a degree I had started 20 years ago. And I'm graduating May 7th, and we're hitting the road on May the 10th. And we're just getting back at it like COVID never happened or something.
Nice. Yeah. And so you've been playing together for a little while, and 2019 is when you started releasing music, right? Or is Spotify a little misleading?
Well, we released an album with Canyon Collected in 2016.
Yes.
Okay. And that like our first album as Pickin, Pear that we released in 2019 took every dollar we had made for 3 years to make it, So it did take us a while to get an album out. But yeah, that album we released in 2019, that was kind of like, that was everything we wanted really Canyon Collected to be, but it never really got to that point, where we had electric bass and we had drums on a couple songs. Like, we're really pushing the envelope of our genre, which a lot of people, will call bluegrass, but we really know like it's different than that.
It's not blue. Yeah. We call it folk and roll. It's definitely not bluegrass, but we definitely pull a lot of inspiration, I guess, from the bluegrass world. Yeah. But we respect that genre way too much to call us bluegrass.
Yeah, that's it,
And there's a lot of purists in the bluegrass community that will appreciate that.
And thankfully for that, bluegrass is an awesome genre of music, and we need people to keep that music going on forever and ever by playing those traditional tunes the way they're supposed to be played, right? Yeah. That's just not our thing, we if we're going to cover a song, we're going to put our own spin, our own flavor on it.
Yeah.
You're not really supposed to do that in bluegrass. So that it never appealed to us to go play those songs exactly the way they're supposed to be played. So we've always just kind of done whatever the hell we wanted.
Yeah, for sure. That's, and that's the interesting thing about bluegrass is even in that community where there's a lot of the staunch traditionalists where it's done the way it was done 100 years ago or whatever it is. But then there's also like this new wave of bluegrass where they welcome that change of, oh, you want to play drums on this song? Go for it. Or, I've seen some bluegrass bands that bring in the cajon or, that most of them don't bring in like a full drum set because that's just insanity. But, so it's interesting just kind of watching the bluegrass community evolve. And even though I know you respect the genre too much to consider yourself bluegrass, I think in a perfect world, it'll work itself out eventually.
In 1,000 years, right? Like the lines will be so small between what we do and what the traditionalists did. We'll be lumped into bluegrass.
For sure. Yeah. It is what it is. So you were living out in college, just kind of organize the train of thought here. You were living out in Colorado when you first started playing together as, what was the name of the original band?
Canyon Collected.
Mm-hmm.
Canyon Collected, got it. And then at what point did you kind of decide, okay, we want to step away from this? It was after a tour in like 2015, right?
Probably we moved into the minivan in 2017. So it was probably right after that 2016 tour.
Okay.
With Canyon Collected.
And I would say even in 2017 and I know in 2020 we had a Canyon Collected show booked. I mean, Canyon Collected never really went away. It just never, there were guys in the band that couldn't tour more than a couple weeks a year and stuff like that.
So Pickin Pear is more of when you two are able to play together. Canyon Collected is more of a full band project. Is that kind of a fair assessment?
Yeah.
Got it. Makes sense now. I was trying to clear that all out of my head because I was like, wait a minute. Yeah, I got it. Cool. Perfect.
That isn't to say we don't want to turn Pickin Pear into its own kind of full band project too.
Yeah, that's
because it still stands alone from Canyon Collected.
Yeah.
For sure. Is there a distinct sound difference between the two, or is it kind of similar?
I would say, because everybody brings a different sound to the table, so when I write a song or when Leon writes a song, but then you get these other guys writing their songs and they're bringing a whole different kind of feel and a whole different take, which really changes the dynamics of everything. So I would say it is at its core pretty similar to what you hear in Pickin Pear, but those guys really bring something else special too.
Yeah, for sure. Completely.
Right, and usually those guys are bringing more of a traditional bluegrassy flavor, and some of the other guys will bring in with Pickin Pear, like both of those guys that are on that Feels Like Home album we released in 2019. I played in a punk rock band back in high school, right? Like those guys are, they're rockers, and that was sort of the energy we wanted to bring into the Pickin Pear world. And still be able to dip our toe into the bluegrassy guys that we play with and get collected.
Yeah,
for sure. That's really cool that you kept in touch with band members that you had back in high school.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, they're still doing their thing, so it's fun to follow along and see what they're doing. And then, I get inspired seeing my friends do cool stuff, and want to do cool stuff with them. So when I get a big idea in my head, which I've been known to do from time to time. I try to make stuff happen, and that was one that I was really happy with.
Yeah.
And who do I make it happen with? People that I know, and I know you from high school, right?
For sure. It's I've been known as well to have a grand idea or two, and then you're like, hey, what do you think about this? And then it either goes somewhere or it doesn't go somewhere, and it just kind of is what it is. But no, that's really cool. Let's talk about the first album that you released as Pickin Pear. What was the original idea behind that album? Was it just like a group of songs that you had already been playing out, or did you like specifically sit down to write an album and release music for the album?
We have so many songs that we're just dying to record all the time.
Yeah.
Right? Like Tia is a machine. She writes and writes, and I love the songs she writes. And we have a collection of songs that we're just always like, well, what are we killing right now? We're in the studio. What makes the most sense to put on this thing?
Right.
And the Feels Like Home album was a long time coming, actually, because we recorded in Memphis first, and we recorded 10 songs in Memphis at a really cool studio where Bruno Mars recorded, and the guy engineering was a Grammy Award winner, right? Like, it's a big deal, right? We crowdfunded, we did the whole thing. Hated it. Everything we got back, we're like, I never want to listen to that again, and no one is ever going to listen to that.
No, and it wasn't just that. It was that. A lot of things, but us too, like our energy that we know we have in our songs was not there. And there's nothing you can change about that. No amount of being in the studio can change that. So we just weren't happy with like the energy we brought, and we didn't want anybody to hear that.
So it was like, well, what do we do now? We're this duo. We got to get stuff out there, and we just wasted a couple grand on that session. What are we going to do next? Well, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it the way we liked it. We had a really, really good time recording that Canyon Collected album, and we did that at a studio in Vermont.
Okay.
Lane Gibson Studios, because the guitar player at the time was from Vermont, and we ended the tour in Vermont, and I was like, well, where's the best studio in Vermont for us to record at the end of this tour? And Lane was just awesome. Yeah. And we're like, if we really hated that and we're gonna do it right, let's just go back to Lane. So that's what we did. We actually did some recording in Cincinnati. That's where we got the drums. Yep. And then we did everything else up in Vermont, and we took a couple guys with us up to Vermont to do it there over a week's time.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And the songs that we recorded in Memphis weren't exactly the same songs we recorded in Vermont. Like some of those songs we recorded in Memphis are actually going to be on this next release that we're going to be releasing coming out soon.
So what do you think in the time that you recorded from in Memphis to the time that you, right, Memphis to Vermont, what kind of changed as far as like, as far as going to change the songs? Did like what you were feeling it? Was it, what went into that selection process? Let's get that out of the way first.
You know, a big part of it was we had Matt that played bass on the Feels Like Home album. And he played electric, which is, you know, kind of that sound we were always sort of looking for with Pickin Pear.
A 5-string electric, actually.
Yeah. And it was just, that upped our energy, that alone. I mean, and also the comfort of playing with Lane Gibson, and we've been there before, and he knows how we sound and how we work. That was all super comfortable. But yeah, I think, you know, having the energy of electric bass really helped.
Yeah.
And also, like, between that time, between the 2 studio sessions, Tia probably wrote a couple of songs that were like, oh man, these are we're loving these songs. So these are definitely going to get recorded. That means that these couple of songs are going to get scrapped for this round because, you know, like new songs we like more got pushed to the top. You know?
Completely understood. And how much time was in between the Memphis recording session and Vermont?
I knew you were going to ask me that. I want to say
I'm an inquisitive person, so, you know.
Well, I know that we did the Memphis stuff. It was like beginning of January.
Yep. Yeah, you're right.
And then, I mean, was it a whole year plus before we got into Vermont?
I do want to say it like took a minute. Yeah, it wasn't directly. I bet it was the follow, you know, because we were there in January in Memphis. And I remember it being snowy in Vermont as well. And I think it was the end of it was the January. It was the next January. It took us a year between sessions. We got there.
Yeah. Was there a point that you didn't think that this album was going to get released throughout that year, from like when you first made that choice of, okay, this Memphis recording isn't good enough, or it isn't what we want representing us, up until you recorded in Vermont?
I don't think it took us much thought to say, well, this Memphis stuff isn't ever getting out there, so what next?
Right? Yeah, we got to it right away.
So that happened already. The whole this isn't getting made thing.
Well, no. Was there ever a thought of like, we'll never get back into the studio, whether due to like money or, you know, finding the right studio?
It's just a time thing. We know it can happen. We just know it takes time.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Right. And it's just a matter of like lining it up and planning it and accumulating those funds. You know, usually we like to do the recordings. I mean, we did this last EP, we did it in the middle of summer last year, in the middle of tour. I usually like to do things like, you know, spend a week or 2 recording and mixing at the end of a tour when we're like really hot and been slaying it for a while.
Yeah. Gotcha. You don't almost think that it would be like you'd be a little burnt out playing the music at the end of a tour, but that's kind of interesting that you like doing it at the end of the tour because you've got the high of the tour.
I feel like we've worked the songs out, you know, and and we know what we want out of them by the time we're in the studio. You know, because I've tweaked it here, I've tweaked it there, and like that way when I'm in the studio, it's like, I got what I want instead of
trying to figure it out in the studio. You know, it's like you've kind of already done that in all of tour, playing these songs a million times.
That makes sense. You know, it goes back to like whenever young musicians ask me what to prepare for when going into the studio, it's like, just know your music. Like, you know it in and out, make sure it's road. Like, even if it's not necessarily road tested, because I understand not every musician can get out and play all the time, but just make sure you're well rehearsed. Like, just know your music, because an engineer is going to come in and say, okay, we're laying down, like however you record, whether you do it more in a live setting or you're doing track by track or instrument by instrument, you know, whatever it is, it's like, okay, let's go. You know, everybody means business. So
and it can save you money if you know, like what you want. The engineer can get it for you. At least, you know, when you're working with someone that like Lane, who was amazing, or like Ben on this newest thing, who, you know, we could just say, well, you know, whatever gibberish we could say, they would interpret it and make it sound better somehow. You know,
it's hard to vocalize what you're looking for sometimes, and you, like you said, you just kind of, this is, can I have it muddy? And they figure it out. You know, so.
The banjo's going a little bing bang. I want more bang bang. You know, like it just.
It's an engineer's just got to be like really good at deciphering what you're talking about. So
they've got an ear.
Yeah, for sure. So you released the Pick and Pear debut album in 2019, and then obviously everybody knows what happened in 2020. So we will kind of surpass that a little bit because every podcast for the last 2 years, the evil Rona always rears its ugly head. But so what did you guys do during that time? Were you doing like live virtual shows? Were you trying to still do like gigs in any capacity? What were you doing during the downtime of the last couple of years?
Well, at the beginning, we were down and out.
Yeah, sure. We did do the live streams.
We did, yeah. We definitely tried to do some live streams, quite a few of them when we could, because we were in the RV, but luckily we were at a place that allowed us to do that. We had a garage space. Nice. And yeah, we definitely did it a couple times, but it was always so hard.
Yeah, it was never as fun.
Yeah, you need the people. You feed off that energy.
Yeah, so we did a few of those, and then when we traveled around a little bit, you just kind of like get the feeling because different places had different rules pretty much, and we dipped our toe in the water. I think in 2020, the summer of 2020, and played a couple shows like in Illinois, and it was still weird. Like we couldn't, people were talking and they're drunk and they're spitting on us, and we're like, this just still doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
So we put a pause on that again until the summer of last year. And last year's summer was amazing. We had a great summer touring to all of our favorite places in Colorado and Montana and Oregon and the Midwest too, and Wisconsin and stuff. So we had a great summer last year. So when things kind of shut down again in the fall, it was like, oh gosh, no. But
here we go.
We kind of can see. We kind of saw like what last summer was, because it was just amazing. So we're hoping this summer is just a repeat and it just keeps getting better and better.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. It's like, I mean, at least here in Texas, everything's pretty much been back to normal since, well, I mean, in theory, it's been back to normal since last springtime, like for the most part. But like this year, it's just been like, oh, really? Okay, cool. So like just seeing the shows back out is really cool. As far as like constantly or out playing your shows, where are some of the cool spots you like to stop and play?
Oh man, there's a lot of them, but I mean Montana has our heart.
Yeah,
I mean that's
Gardner, Montana.
Yeah,
is this tiny little town on the north entrance of Yellowstone. And those people are just amazing. There are a bunch of them, own their own little small business, or they work for someone that owns the small business, and
or they work in Yellowstone,
or they work in Yellowstone, and and they have this, and they all come from somewhere. We do have a good local friend. We did meet a Gardner local.
We did.
Shout out to Seth. But for the most part, it's just like this. It's people just like us. They're out there floating around looking for, I don't know, the thing that makes them happiest. And we found it in each other and in our music. And we feel that energy when they're there. And they sing our songs back at us. And it's just like, we're playing like 4 or 5 times in Gardner this summer, just because it's so fun. Lafayette, Indiana is another place that actually anywhere Indiana.
Surprisingly, yes.
Really? Surprisingly.
Because we dip in and out of Indiana, I guess. It's never been like a hot spot.
Yeah.
But when we're there, people just show up in another place where they sing our songs back to us, and that is just the most heartwarming thing you could ever see.
And they love it when we talk shit about Indianapolis.
Love it.
I mean, that I get. Indianapolis is just the worst. I think a lot of people will agree. Yeah.
It's just I've always complained about Indiana because we have to drive through it a lot between Chicago and Cincinnati. That's all there is Indiana, basically. And it's the worst. It's always under construction. But anytime we stop in Indiana and we play a show in Indiana, it's amazing. Kokomo, Indiana, Lafayette, Indiana, those places have always been so good to us.
Yeah.
Yep. Anytime we drove into Indiana, my dad's joke, well, anytime we crossed the state line going from Illinois to Indiana, because my grandparents lived in Indiana, it would be the second we crossed the line, my dad would look back at us and say, well, do you feel stupider now? And it's like, geez, wow. And like, just at the time it was funny because like when you're 10 years old, your dad's the funniest person you know, but now it's just like, ooh, that's a little brutal, but you know. But,
no hate on the people from Indiana, just the road system, really.
Yeah. But no, that's cool that that you got such a wide base of fans that support you anywhere you go.
We wish we could take those places to the big cities like Denver, and you know, like we need those little awesome pockets to grow in these bigger cities. But
for sure. Since you met in Colorado and you spent some time out in Colorado, did you get to make your way south into the great state of New Mexico?
We've only dipped into New Mexico, really.
We played with Canyon Collective in New Mexico.
Yeah, not as big.
We went on a tour with our buddy Tyler T, and he was from, what's the A, Texas? I don't know. West Texas.
Okay.
Texas A&M.
Amarillo?
Texas A&M.
No, Texas A&M. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Wherever, around that area.
Lubbock.
Yeah.
He's Lubbock.
Lubbock.
There's no A in Lubbock.
No, you're close.
Yeah, but
Texas Tech. He probably went to Texas Tech.
Oh, Texas Tech. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we went to Lubbock. We did some New Mexico and some Arizona shows with those guys, and had a blast. And we'll never forget the Lubbock show because it was Cinco de Mayo.
Oh, of course. Oh, boy.
I think we had to burn the clothes we were wearing because everyone in that bar right next to the university was smoking 6 cigarettes at a time, I think. And it was just insanely smoky. And our clothes the next day were, I mean, it was just
like they had to be thrown out. Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah.
Lubbock's a crazy town, but they do support good music. Like that's the one cool thing about Lubbock is
actually out in Colorado, we knew several musicians that were from Lubbock. You know, like Lubbock is a music place that, you know, it breeds these great musicians.
I don't know if they necessarily breed them because I think a lot of them come in as transplants, but they just cultivate and are able to keep inspiring. Like I know there's several musicians that I know that go into Lubbock or stay in Lubbock just because it's easier for them to make like obviously they're not going to make like a killing doing it just staying in Lubbock, but if they want to play once a week, once every other week, Lubbock, like the scene's big enough that they can do it in Lubbock. So and it's crazy because it's just a small town in Texas.
It is, yeah.
Yep. So. Those college towns, they can be small, but they can be rowdy.
Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure. I went to Southern Illinois, so I know about rowdy college towns. So, yeah, it's fun. No, that's really cool. So let's kind of shift gears a little bit and talk about the new album. It comes out in about a week and a half?
Something like that. We're doing a little different. We're going to release the title track on May 6th. We have CDs, and we're going to be selling them at the merch booth. You know, we felt like the last album, I don't know, like we were just kind of giving it away for free online so everybody could listen to it. And, you know, we're going to do that with this stuff too, but I guess we're just going to do it slowly and hope that people like, oh man, I really did this. I'll buy the whole CD from you right now, and just do it that way. So we're going to just do a release like every month over the summer. We'll release one song off of this EP until they're all out, and then, then we'll release the whole thing.
Yeah.
I have found though that a lot of like if they really support your music, they'll buy the CD anyways, whether they can get it on Spotify or not. So
you're 100% right. And vinyl too. I mean, we have the Feels Like Home on vinyl, and we've seen more people buying that than the CDs because people don't really have CD players in their cars and stuff as much anymore.
Yep.
That is an issue I just recently ran into. So this past December, my car just like died on me, and it was the last thing that I had that had a CD player in it. And I was like, well, dang it. Now I got to go buy a new car, you know, all this stuff. And I go get a car, and in the back of my mind, as I'm like test driving it and whatnot, I was like, oh, okay, cool. It's got a CD player, and then I get the car home and I'm looking and I'm like, well, shoot. No, it doesn't.
Where is the CD player?
All right. Well, that's cool. And so now I got like this big bin of like demo albums and stuff that bands send me all the time. And it's like, I have no way to listen to this. So here we go. But, anyways, so I, now anytime I go out to shows, I buy vinyl. Like that's really the only thing I can play as far as hard copy stuff. So
the manufacturer could have just sent us blank discs. I've had no way to listen to this and see if there's actually anything on it. But we've worked with them before. I'm pretty sure that they're good.
I'm sure somebody would have said something to you.
We would have heard something by now.
Right.
Wouldn't that have been the biggest scam in the world? Somebody just sends out blank discs because they just kind of assume nobody has a CD.
Nobody can listen to it. Can't put it in your computer, not in your car. Where are you going to listen to it?
The band that has no music. Imagine. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, that's funny. Oh, and so the new album, how long is this been in the works throughout the pandemic, or at what point did you kind of decide you were ready to release another body of work?
Oh man, like I said, we just want to get so much out there all the time.
Right.
We're just picky. We like it to be good. We like to like it first.
Yeah, we won't just put anything out there. So we want it to be, done right. And like you said, for us to like it. Yeah.
So, I mean, it just turned into an EP, we basically were just like, well, we need to get some stuff recorded. And we knew our friends out in Montana had just bought a house during the pandemic, and it had an old karate studio in it that they converted into a home studio.
Nice.
And the guy, Ben, is amazing and gave us such a super deal to come to their house. They provided like lunches and dinners for us, and
so accommodating.
Let us do the laundry and shower and all that stuff, and we just stayed in the RV outside because that's what we like to do. But they had plenty of space for us and the dog, and it was just a really comfortable, awesome recording experience. We were so happy there. And hope to record there again soon.
It was really an awesome experience. And something about this album, too, is that it's always just the two of us. Whenever we're live, it's usually just the two of us. And we've never had anything recorded, just the two of us. Like the Pick and Pear album has bass on all of it. It has drums on some songs. And we love that because, you want to produce something nice and big and full for your album. But it was like, well, we don't have anything that's just the two of us. So we thought it'd be really cool to get an EP or album out there that was just the two of us.
Gotcha.
Go ahead, please.
No, I was going to say, so this album's a bit more stripped back than the original or the first album?
Instrumentally, yes, but we did get Ben and Katie, who were husband and wife. I think they're engaged at least. They own this house. They're in this band called Desperate Electric, and they tour. We're actually playing with them. They're from Montana, but we're playing with them here in Cincinnati on Saturday.
Awesome.
And it's going to be so good to see those guys. But they are amazing musicians, and we had them do some harmony stuff on some of the vocal tracks with us.
Oh, nice.
So I feel like more than the original album, this has some like pretty vocal harmony goodness stuff going on back there.
Yeah.
That is also more than what we're usually doing live.
Right.
But great stuff in the studio.
Yeah.
For sure. Would you say that this upcoming album's more in tune with the bluegrass side of things than the original album? No?
No. It's us. Yeah. It's all original stuff, and it's kind of even different from some stuff on our first album. Like we have a couple of like the slower side of Pick and Pear. I only have maybe like one, maybe two songs, but there's a slower song or two that's just really pretty, and usually we're fast and aggressive. So we're showing kind of a different side, but also still has those fun, fast, aggressive songs on there too.
Yeah, and there's some jamming too. I mean, it's only 5 songs, but it's still about 30 minutes of music, and so there's some extended Tia solos on there, and some really good jams. And we're really, really happy with these songs, and happy that people are going to get a chance to hear them.
Yeah.
30 minutes, that's almost a full album, isn't it? I don't even know what the cutoff for an EP versus an LP is anymore, but
to me, I just do it by like, 5 tracks, that's an EP. 10 tracks, that's an album. Cool.
And then where the gray area comes in is when you get these artists that release like 7 songs. It's like, is that an EP? Is that an LP?
Right. Right.
I don't know.
I think if I went anywhere over 6, I would call it an
album. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But 6 is that magic number. It could be an EP or an album. I don't make the rules.
You call it whatever you want.
So, Leah, you mentioned earlier that you're getting ready to graduate May 7th.
Yeah.
What are you graduating? What degree? With what degree?
It's called integrative study. Okay. So it's a multidisciplinary thing, and basically, when I was in college 20, or 15 years ago, however long, I was studying geology towards being a science teacher someday. I was minoring in political science, so I had a bunch of those credits kind of stored up, but I hated the idea of going back and doing a bunch of like upper level geology credits. It's like, I'm not there. I want to do some stuff where I get to like do some video editing or audio mixing, stuff that's relevant to the the career we're trying to build here. And so they had this integrative studies thing where I could take those credits I already had, and you basically you fulfill 3 different minors. So I fulfilled a geology minor, political science minor, and the third one is electronic media and broadcasting. But, I do a podcast class. Tonight we had our multi-track audio mixing class that I got out of an hour ago. So, just stuff like that. So really, most of the bulk of the classes I've taken in this year and a half of studies has been relevant to stuff that T and I are doing. I've gotten more familiar with how to use Adobe Illustrator and Adobe Premiere and Pro Tools and all that good stuff.
Yeah, so we even got in the studio, and he got to sit in the chair and do some engineer work, and that's really cool. It's like putting what you've just learned to use, and got some cool stuff out of it. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Sure.
Is this like a remote class, or are you actually going into a physical campus?
I am going to Northern Kentucky University. Go Norse. Norse up is what they say. But yeah, it's for the first, it was 3 semesters I had to fill, and the first semester was completely remote. Second semester was on campus but fully masked up, and then this semester we were masked up for half of it, and now it's like we're just living the free life. Yeah,
for sure. That's cool. That's great that you went back and finished up your degree, and you're gonna graduate here in 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, man, it's crunch time right now.
Yep.
You got finals coming up and all that fun stuff. Is it taking you back?
Papers, getting projects done for sure. It's nice, but my head is like 2 weeks ahead already. Like, all right, we gotta get the van loaded up, and we got, what are we forgetting? Before we hit the road. Like, maybe in hindsight, it wasn't a great idea, Leon, to graduate, release an EP, and move out all at the same time.
It's more fun that way.
I think so.
I mean, at least the stories when you're in class are a little bit more entertaining right now. All your other student friends that are getting ready to graduate, they're like, well, I think I'm going to go home and try and get a job or find a job, or I'm going to start working. You're like, oh, I'm going to release an album and go on the road.
They look at me like they don't care, though. So I don't know.
Well, I mean, I remember being 24, like getting ready to graduate and stuff. And then there was always somebody that picked up their degree from earlier in their life. And it happens. That's how it is.
I love being that guy. And I was just telling Tia tonight too, like, some of these kids are just so awesome. They're hilarious, and they're doing big things already. They're 22 years old, and they're about to graduate too. And, they're directing little short films and, working on their own little things. And it's just like, man, I love to see it,
Yeah. And
because I was just a 22-year-old stoner, I didn't do anything good.
My dad keeps telling me, he's like, you should go back to school, go get your master's. And I'm like, no, I'm good.
I mean, I'm not ready right now. I hope to never really have to use this bachelor's degree. It was just something I'd always wanted,
Yeah. Like, I mean, my bachelor's degree, like you see my microwave right here, is sitting right up under it. There's a sheet of paper. That is where my degree is sitting right now. And so
it's gonna get SpaghettiOs on
it. Probably. And actually, so I do for my day job. My boss was like, "Hey, we should have everybody bring in their big expensive degrees. We'll hang it up on one of the walls and say this is the most expensive wall in the building."
He would not be wrong.
And because we all went to big fancy universities and got nice and in debt and all that stuff, and it's just great. Here we sit. So but it's awesome. So. So you got the new album dropping here in the next couple of weeks, and then you're going on the road. Well, what's the tour looking like? Are you just kind of winging it, or do you have the first few weeks, months planned out?
I'm pretty solidly booked through July. Okay. It has become overwhelming to think beyond that, at least at this point. Yeah. And there's still holes I'd like to fill between now and the end of July, but we have at least a pretty solid route. Mm-hmm. Where we're leaving here, we're headed to Lafayette, Indiana. Mm-hmm. We'll go to Bentonville, Arkansas, and then that's all on our way to Denver. We have a big show in Denver. It's our headlining show, and as a duo, we don't get to do that a lot. We just really don't, unless it's just a whole night at a restaurant or a brewery or something. But at a ticketed venue, with 200 people capacity, at the Black Buzzard in Denver, right downtown next to the Coors Stadium and all that stuff. Like it could, Saturday night could be a really, really fun night. Yeah. And I told Tia I won't be able to stop stressing until after that show is done, and hopefully we've gotten 100 people in the door and stuff. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. And then we go up to, we play a little bit in the mountains in Evergreen. We go up to Fort Collins. We're playing at a bowling alley there and I lived in Fort Collins when I lived in Colorado. So I love Fort Collins. It still feels like home when I go there, Mm-hmm. I go to my favorite dispensary and, it's the best.
Go to all your spots.
Yeah, go to all your spots. And
those bowling alley shows, sometimes those can be annoying because if there's actually people bowling, it'll get loud and disruptive.
We're literally on the lanes.
In the middle.
Nice. All right.
The stage is on the lanes.
Yeah. That's what's up. That's cool. That's really cool.
I've heard from other bands that it's fine. You don't get to, and we're trying in-ear monitors these days. Who knows if we'll still be using them by then. We've been kind of frustrated with them lately.
Yeah. But it'll help in a show like that.
It'll help in a show like that,
Yeah.
It helped a couple weeks ago when there was this super drunk lady sitting on the lip of the bar stage, and I couldn't hear a damn thing she said. I was like,
wasn't even distracted.
But I wasn't distracted even a little bit. So
man, that's the story. I'm sure you have some great stories being out on the road as much as you have.
It's just that one over and over and over again.
Everywhere, in every different bar.
I've only been on a proper tour once, and the stories I tell people are just wow, it's so funny. So getting chased off the Navajo Indian reservation, that's
man,
that's a good one.
It's one of those things where it's what's that?
I'm sorry, I was gonna say we're going up to play on the reservation up in Montana.
Oh nice.
Right outside of Glacier National Park. I think it's the Blackfeet Reservation. Mm-hmm. We played this spot, and that's where actually we've played in June, and it actually starts snowing while we're playing at night. It's
outside.
This is insane. This is June.
It's June. Please, we're not in Alaska. We're in the continental U.S. It's not supposed to be this cold.
Right.
But that's wild. Wow, I didn't realize that it snowed in June in Montana.
It can, yeah. And I actually worked a couple seasons in Yellowstone, and all the old folks in Yellowstone will tell you, oh yeah, we got pictures July 4th, inch of snow on the ground. It's oh man, that's wild.
I don't want that.
It's fine. I'll take it in July, but I don't want to be there. I don't want to see what it's going to be like in December.
Yeah, no, that terrifies me.
Actually, so one of the guys I work with, he's from Williston, North Dakota.
Okay.
And he was telling me, what was it, last week or 2 weeks ago, they had 30 some odd inches of snow on the ground.
Oh no.
And that because it was like right around spring break time, and the local college there, like they closed a week early because they were like, all right, kids, spring break, go. Right. Don't stick around, don't wait, go. Because if you're trying to wait for a flight or whatever, you ain't getting out of here.
Yep.
So that's
crazy.
Yeah. And I was just like, wait, but it's like April. Well, what's going on here? And he's like, well, that's North Dakota for you. So so you got the big tour, you got a big tour planned out. You're obviously always kind of constantly booking. Do you find your way through Texas at all on this swing, or?
You may have caught my subtle hints about smoking marijuana.
Yes.
And Texas terrifies me. So we avoid it sometimes. We avoid the South sometimes.
Sure.
So I'll say we will be there in Texas.
Okay.
It's just not anytime soon. Maybe like winter tour.
Texas just recently decriminalized.
They might have. The times are changing all the time, and we are grateful for that. We really are. But
at least I know it was on the table of it being decriminalized. So
we haven't had a chance to do a proper winter tour in a while.
No.
So this year we will, and it's really exciting.
Yeah.
We'll take a pause in October for about a month, and then mid-November we're going to be hitting it strong again. I know it, and be going. We'll probably go hard for a month, do holiday stuff, and then January be back at it. And then I'll be wanting to go to the warmer places like Texas, New Mexico, Arizona.
Florida.
Yeah, we love it out in California too, but we're skipping it this year just because everything is more expensive. Bars and venues that we play a lot aren't able to pay more yet. Like the budget for bands is still the same, while everything else like gas is expensive. In California, I'm paying like $5-6 a gallon or something like that. It's like we just can't do it.
It's just not in the RV. Yeah.
We're making sacrifices here and there, but we've played, I think, 39 different states together, and we want to play them all. So we're gonna go everywhere. We're gonna do it. I mean, we're just gonna keep doing it forever.
Yeah.
So it's like Pokemon. You want to play them?
That's right.
You want to play them all,
and then play them all again, so you can compare it to the other time, and then you got to play it again,
right?
Just because it's fun.
Yeah, just because it was fun. Just keep doing it.
Nice.
We like to play.
For sure. I'm slowly working on a guidebook for like all different venues that my friends or musicians that I know have played. So that, because I'm sure you guys get hit up all the time for like venue recommendations for like depending on what state they're going to, and it's like, oh, okay, you're going to where? Arkansas? Cool. Here's every venue that I know of.
Exactly. So, it's literally why I keep that spreadsheet on our Pick and Pear website. It's so I can tell other bands and people that are like, oh, how do you book all these shows? Like, I just send a lot of emails. Take a look at all the places I went and send them all an email and see what happens. Really, all I do is I look at where everybody else is playing and send in a bunch of emails, like and it's always changing, especially since COVID. A bunch of places we love to play have, gone, casualty of COVID, and restaurants having to close down and stuff like that. So it's a whole new batch of like people out there that we're working with, and it's changing all the time.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's this one place in where are they at? I think maybe Alabama or Arkansas, one of the two. They have a band submission form. Like I was sitting there, I've reached out to the venue just like to get their contact information. I was like, hey, who do I send a like demo or request to try and get a band booked into your venue? They're like, oh, here, we have this submission form. Just send it and we'll let you know. And I'm like, that's oddly simple, but makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I'm sure they get a lot of shit as far as like bands that just think they're ready to start playing live, but maybe aren't.
But it's a way for them to keep it organized, and give everybody a fair chance, which I appreciate.
Yeah, for sure. But I don't want to keep you all too much longer. Outside of music, when you're just kind of chilling in the camper or need to take a break from each other or just life in general, what are some of your hobbies? What do you do to decompress?
We never need a break from each other.
We got a great dog, so we love loving on our puppy, Cassidy. She's 12 years old now.
Yep.
She's a good girl.
We'll always try and find parks wherever we're at. It's really cool. It's something you wouldn't normally do when you're on the road, but because we have the dog, we try and find these cool, like, random dog parks or just regular parks in these cool little suburb towns of a town you've never heard of. It's like, this is cool. You know?
It's somebody's like everyday park, but for us, it's like, we even found this place like an oasis in the middle of the world. You know,
we're gonna sleep here.
So we do that. We love playing pinball when we're out on the road. You know, we find that's another thing. Like, you know, every kind of cool town has a cool pinball bar, or at least a cool place that has a few cool pinball machines. And so we like to go find those places. Yeah. We love eating good food. I love eating good food. Tia likes.
I love tea. Take me to the tea house. I'll be happy.
But on a rainy day or a tired day, we are playing some video games and
just vegging out,
watching our favorite shows over again or whatever. You know, like we consume media, you know, and enjoy the hell out of it. We love going to the movies. Yeah, I love going to the movies.
Yeah. Well, we love games. That's always the thing. Like, we're always playing a game, whether we're at a bar or just hanging out or outside. We love games. So
we travel with, like, you know, a bunch of dice in a little Altoids can that we can play a dice game, Farkle all the time, or we have cards. Like, we just like to have fun all the time, I guess.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's really cool. And so then you're leaving to go out on tour here in the next couple of weeks, and I'm sure you're going to hit up some really cool pinball spots. Have you ever played in Tallahassee?
Tallahassee?
Florida.
Not yet. I don't think so. No.
Not yet.
There's a really cool pinball, or I don't know if it's a pinball spot or if it's a vintage arcade.
Okay.
Either way.
Right. Still in.
Yeah. Actually, if you go to Daytona, they have a vintage arcade museum, which is
cool.
Amazing.
We've hit up the pinball museum.
San Francisco has one one of vintage arcade museums on the pier, and then the pinball museum
in Vegas.
In Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, we were looking at going when we were visiting the Live and Amplified team. We were in Daytona working on another project. And I was like, hey, let's go there and see what it's all about. And it was like $20 an hour per person to get in. And I'm like, no, I'm good. Like, it'd be fun, but I'm good. So
they're getting you that $20 an hour a little bit.
Bit.
I could stretch my $10 a little farther than that.
Yeah. It's like, just let us in and we'll just keep pumping quarters into your machine. Right. That's all that matters. Like,
you're right.
You don't need to hit us with the cover charge. So
and that's another fun thing too. When you go to all the different pinball places, they all do it a little bit different. You know?
True.
Like, it's just some are weird, some are weirder, and some are just throw your quarter in there.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, you know, that's it is what it is. So
exactly.
Whatever works.
Yep. But for anybody that wants to check out your music or any of the like upcoming tour spots, or just interact with you on social media in general, where's the best place to do that?
Do we still have a MySpace?
No.
Oh no. Okay. You know, all the usual stuff. Pickinpear.com is great. I think we're just Pick and Pear on Facebook and Instagram.
Right, all the social medias. It's just Pick and Pear everywhere.
Yeah, picking like picking your nose.
Yep.
And pear like the fruit.
Yep.
I was waiting for you to double down and say we're on Friendster.
Friendster.
Yeah.
I don't even know that one.
I don't even know that one. Yeah.
That's old school.
Okay.
Super old school. So
you're too hip for me.
Right.
But it was like before MySpace. There was a cycle.
Okay.
So I thought you were going to double down and just be like, but no, that's awesome. Really appreciate y'all taking the time to sit down and chat with me. Congratulations on the upcoming release and the tour and graduating with I'm assuming your bachelor's, right?
Yeah, just the bachelor's.
Yeah. Graduating with your bachelor's. So that's all really exciting. It's going to be a fun, exciting, hectic we'll say month probably. Like it'll all be
rest of forever.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I'm already starting to feel good. You know, I'm ready to get on the road, get done with this chapter and start the next one.
Yeah, for sure. And if you ever end up in Texas, definitely love to come check out a show. Although depending on where in Texas you're at, it'll kind of depend because
Yeah.
it's a big old state. And
I figure when we do come to Texas, we'll just have to be there for a while and play all the cities.
Yeah. Yep.
That's why Texas has got its own thriving scene, because there's artists that do that.
I'm sure.
Right. Just go from city to city.
Yeah. Like Texas is big enough. They go do tours around Texas, and that's how they make their living. So
yeah. I believe that.
It's amazing. It's incredible, but
yeah,
it's not for everyone.
We won't just come. We won't just come to Austin and peace out. Like.
Oh yeah.
That's fair. That seems to be what a lot of people do. Come to Austin. Maybe they'll go over to San Antonio, but for the most part, most people just come to Austin, and that's their Texas experience.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is fine. That's cool. But
yeah.
As long as you don't drive through West Texas. West Texas is a wild place.
Good to know.
Yeah. It's long. It's
just a wild. Yep.
Yeah, the Wild West.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. But once again, thank you so much for hanging out with us. It's been an absolute.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
For sure. And anytime you want to come back on, feel free to reach out. You got my number. I think I just recently added you on Instagram and all the socials. So feel free to reach out anytime you want to chat, come back on, all the fun stuff. Love to have you back. But
I've been amplified.
Yep, absolutely. Once again, thank you everybody for hanging out with us. We will talk to you later.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Cool. We're clear.